Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak, the podcast. I'm your host, Elena Fox. Hey guys, I hope you're doing really well in this moment in time, and that whenever and wherever you happen to be in this surreal universe, I hope that you're able to notice the seemingly surprising, supernatural, and magical happenings that are happening all around you, and of late especially. Many of you have written to me with some really amazing stories that seem kind of familiar, like these things have happened to me as well. Not all of these things. I'm about to tell you a couple fun ones. Now, do you remember a couple weeks ago on a Monday, I said to you guys, I had hopped 4 timelines over the weekend, not last weekend, but the weekend before. And on Monday, I felt like, God, something is weird. Like I hopped all these timelines, and I know that I hopped up because I asked higher guidance, did I go up in vibration? The answer was yes. And yet the world all around me seemed a fuck of a lot crappier. It was worse somehow. I felt like I hopped from a place that was normal-ish to a place with a lot less infrastructure and more dirty. And it just felt a lot less stable and emotionally tenuous. And also a lot of the things that the landlord had told me turned out to not be true. Like several timelines ago, he told me that the lady downstairs was single, and that she said she was going to die in this house because she loves living there so much. Even though she's single, she's gonna just, go to her poker game every week and hang out with her friends. And, she goes to these houses to, house sit, for extra money, and that's her life, and she loves her life, and that's just the way it is. And I remember he let me into her apartment to show me what a finished apartment looks like. And during that time when we're like walking through, her bathroom and her bedroom, and she had already given permission for me to see it, and how she picked her colors and everything. And there were all these pictures of her, like with apparently her sister or something. And not one of them had her with a man. Not one picture. It was like her and her sister and her mom, or her and her sister, or her and her friends, but not one of her with a man. And there was no evidence that a man lived there. And so I hop all these timelines, and then I think it was either that Monday or the Tuesday following these several hops that I made, when the landlord and I somehow got into the conversation about Darlene. And he said, did you see her when she was here? I'm like, no, I missed her. I didn't know she was here. And he said, yeah, they were back. I'm like, oh, does she identify as a they? That's interesting about her. I did not know that. So I'll call her they from now on. And he goes, no, silly, her and her husband. No, she didn't have a husband. That was like the first weird thing where my world was vastly different. He's like, no, she's married an Ecuadorian 10 years ago. They've been together the whole time. They've been living together in this 1-bedroom place downstairs. And I'm like, what? That place is too small, right? For 2 people to live there. I mean, my ex-boyfriend was thinking about coming to visit me for a few weeks. And I said, why don't you come down and rent the apartment next door? You know, it's only $200 for the month. So, I mean, hey, you should do that. And he's just like, he's like, oh yeah, it's easy. All right, why not? Because a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom place is too freaking small for 2 people. And it's just weird, right? So I thought, well, that was really odd. And then when I asked him about the cost to make, you told me before it was like $1 or $1.50 a load. You weren't sure. You had to ask Darlene about it. And he insists that he told me it was $20 a month. And I get a laundry day once per week, and there's no dryer. So it's like $5 to wash my clothes and hang them wet outside, where the atmosphere, like he says, it takes 2 days to dry sheets. Okay. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not looking to get my stuff re-dirtied. I'm not looking to get my stuff, moldy or mildewy. Like, I'll pass. Sorry, I'm good. LMAO, I'm good. I'm just like, I'll just take it for, $5. I could do, for $5 or $6 a month, I could go get Fluff and Fold service where they wash and dry and fold neatly all of your things, like, in Montanita, which I love going there anyway. So, hey. So, it was just one of those moments where I'm like, wow, that is vastly different. And he said, I would never have told you it was $1.50 per load. I would never have said that because it's never been that way. And he was completely perplexed. I'm like, well, that was several timelines ago. All right, it's like either he's lying or I hopped several timelines, and that was the evidence. And he's not the kind of person to just lie about stuff like that. He's very fair-minded and open. So I mentioned all these things, and when I did, a few of you wrote in right away, and a few of you had to catch up with the episodes. I know, guys, I'm prolific, and it takes you a few moments to, catch up on episodes you've missed, and life gets busy. I get it. But several of you have written me in the past 2-3 days going, oh my God, the same thing happened to me. I have heard from several of you now who have said your eyes did change color. Your looks are different. Michelle wrote me today saying, yes, I am younger. I'm in my 50s, and people keep insisting I look 30 years old. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of weird, right? I mean, last week, 3 different times, people insisted that Elena, am not more than 30 or 32 years old. There's no way in hell I'm over 32 years old. 3 different people, with 3 different, potential, I don't even know what. They weren't trying to get me in bed. They weren't trying to date me, but 3 separate people. Like, one person was even gay, and he's like, there's no way in hell you're over 30. There's no freaking way. And I usually was getting that for a while, but after I lived in Cuenca for about 1.5 years, people said, there's no way you're over 40, and now people are saying 30, and I'm like, okay, well, this is good. Being up at the elevation, I was not looking very good, apparently. Even though I'm still 52, I'm still looking good for my age, but I want to look good in general, right? So I thought that was interesting, but Michelle said the same thing. People this past week have been saying to her, you look a lot younger, right? And so I thought that was interesting. That's good. And a few other people have said those kinds of things, like I look younger. But 3 people have literally said their eyes have indeed changed color. Now, sometimes it's when you meet your twin flame, or when you're about to meet your twin flame, your eyes will change color. But some of you also insist that it might be as well from timeline hopping. Now, Jordan wrote me, and she said that she has been manifesting anything she speaks out loud within a matter of minutes. It's happened 3 times in the past few weeks. One thing was she needed a part for her bookshelf. She had moved and she lost this one little part in her move, and she walked outside and it was right there on the sidewalk right in front of her. That was weird, and then, okay, well, all right. That kind of thing you could blow off. One thing was, when she was on vacation at Lake Michigan, she said she wishes she could find some pieces of beach glass. Turned around, boom, there it is on the ground. Right what she was thinking that she wanted, the colors and everything. And then, and the third thing, she had like the top for a bottle, like a little cork stopper for a bottle that she needed. And she said, I had it, I lost it. She looked all over, couldn't find it. And she says out loud to her mother, I need that. She turns around, boom, it's right there, right at her feet in the middle of her living room floor. And it wasn't there before. And she said, that sounds like instant manifestation, right? It's like not in my hand, but it seems like that's seedy. So that's a sign that things are happening. Like you say, you want something, boom, it happens. I want a $500,000 house. No. I need a $500,000 house. I need my own house for damn sure. Now, timeline things have been happening like crazy. Like weeks ago, I went to Montanita Beach. Weeks ago. And I was talking to the taxi driver, and he said that you wouldn't believe the infrastructure and things that have been built up here. For example, as we're driving to Montanita Beach, he said, look at this. And he showed me all of these buses were in this parking lot. And he said, you could get a bus from Montanita Beach to all of the cities in Ecuador. And that's it. You never, you guys have to understand that to go to Montanita Beach, before you had to go to Guayaquil and then take a 3 to 4 hour bus ride to Montanita Beach. And to get anywhere else in Ecuador, you have to go to Guayaquil, which is 4 hours, and then from there you go. So you have to go way inland. So if you want to go to another place on the coast, like an hour from here, you have to go 4 hours inland and then 4 hours outland again, because there's no route. It's a spondylus route, or the Ruta del Sol. It's the route of the sun. So if you have a car, you can go. Or, $100 in taxi, you can go. But if you have, if you just want to take a bus, it's not going to happen. It's completely insane. It's like you have to spend 8 hours going an hour, And so 4 weeks ago or whatever, when I first got here, this guy said, look, this is the place where you go. Now last week we in another taxi, we went by the same lot, and I thought, well, that's interesting. It's still there, but there were less buses. And all right, fine. And there's no office. You can't just go buy a ticket. You have to, I guess, know the routes, know the everything. So I looked it up today, and there's absolutely no way you could get to Montanita to anywhere else except by going to Guayaquil. Again, the old way is now back. I don't know why that is. I don't know why I can't find it. I need to maybe look at a different search engine possibly, or talk to a couple taxi drivers about it, or try to figure it out, because I have to go to Quito. And so I thought, well, because I really wanted to take a bus to maybe Manta, maybe spend the night in Manta, and then the next day take Manta to Quito, and that would be easy. Well, I found out, guys, that okay, it was 2.5 hours from here to Manta when I looked months ago, because I really, really want to live in Manta, and I wanted to know where I'm living now, how far where I am now to Manta, because my friend was thinking about opening a hostel. So I did all of the due diligence. I did all of the research for him, And that's why I know. All right, so check this out. It is now no longer 2.5 hours. It's 4 hours to Manta. Or 4.5 hours to Manta, but it's also like really long. Like in a bus, it's like 7 hours or something because of all the stops. And I thought, okay, well I thought it was 4 hours by bus, right? So this is very, very strange. And I thought, well, I'm going to blow it off because, not reliable, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, well, what if I could just get to Manta? I could go to Guayaquil, Manta, and then Manta to Quito. And that should be easy because I know for a fact, because this is one reason I wanted to live in Manta, because when I go to renew my visa every 2 to 3 years, I will have to go to Quito anyway because they have all my paperwork there and they know me there and they like me there and they're very sympathetic to me as a person in general. They're very sweet over there, as opposed to Azogues where they told me they're going to definitely have me deported just because they don't like me, in general, because they're assholes in Azogues. But in Quito, they're very sweet. I even told them in Quito, and they're like, oh, okay, we're going to report that because they're not allowed to do that. That's illegal. I'm like, yeah, I know, but that's what they told me and my children. They looked at both of my children's faces and they said, I'm going to have you deported. In Spanish, but it was pretty crazy. So one of the perks of living in Manta would be only a 4-hour bus ride to Quito. So I looked it up, guys. It's 7 hours in a bus to Quito, suddenly, out of nowhere. So I hopped from a timeline in which Ecuador apparently was a fuck of a lot smaller, or the buses were a fuck of a lot faster. One or the other. I don't understand it, but I know what I know it was because I researched it. For sure I knew what it was because, it's like, I remember when I lived in Arequipa, Peru for a couple weeks. My kids and I were there for about 2 weeks. We really, really enjoyed our time in Arequipa, called the White City. And I had some spiritual work to do there. I just, the spirits there needed help, and just a whole bunch of stuff I did when I was in Arequipa. Plus, I wanted to get used to the elevation of Arequipa, the White City, because it was 7,400 feet above sea level. Wanted to see if I could live there. Why? Because Cuenca, Ecuador was 7,600 feet above sea level. So, okay, it's about the same. It's 200 feet different. If I could live there for 2 weeks, I could probably get used to Cuenca. And when I moved to Cuenca, I remember that we got acclimated. After a week or two, we were all doing really well. And then all of a sudden, my kids and I woke up and I felt like I had hopped a timeline. I felt like everything felt different. The energy here was different. And all of a sudden, we can't breathe, even in our own apartment. Like, we're having a hard time breathing. The elevation was super, super high. What the hell? And I looked it up, and suddenly Cuenca was at 8,400 feet above sea level. And every timeline I've been on since then, and sometimes I could find artifact websites that do say that Cuenca is 7,600 feet above sea level. Sometimes I could find them, and other times, depending on the timeline I'm on, the artifacts are there, and sometimes they're not. And Arequipa still remains at the same elevation as it was before. So, sometimes I think when we hop a timeline, it's because the old timeline collapsed, or it didn't really collapse. What happens is it merges into where we're at now. And it's just like you have two memories. Like when I was wearing my Lucifer hoodie and it said Lucifer across my tummy. And I remember thinking, why is everyone staring at my stomach? When I went to the mall, and it's like, oh shit, yeah, because I'm wearing my Lucifer hoodie and it says Lucifer. And that scares people that are Catholic. And that's what my purpose for wearing the hoodie was, because, pandemic, global, chaos and pandemia. I didn't want anyone to be near me, And then all of a sudden, The other day I put on the same hoodie and now it says Lucifer across my breasts instead of my stomach. It's like, what the hell? And even the sentence on there changed. So that was weird. Like super weird. So I don't know, but some of you have written in saying, yeah, not only did my looks change, some of you have said that your nose is a different shape, your eyes are a different color, your lips are either bigger or smaller, or your chin is bigger or smaller, and you're looking at yourself in the mirror going, what the flock just happened? Even your hair color, it has changed. I took a picture of myself the other day. I had gray eyes and blonde hair. My entire life I've had red hair and green eyes. How am I blonde with gray eyes? What the hell, right? So, I don't know. This is just the kind of crap that's happening. And what's weird is because we're learning and growing and we're increasing our vibrations and we're spiritually in it to win it now. It's the final push, the ascension of humanity and whatnot. And as we're here, we're like suddenly remembering, we're suddenly going, oh, I remember how I used to look, Usually in the past, even 10, 20 years ago, you would hop a timeline, you're not going to know jack shit. You might have had blonde hair on your other timeline, but now you're a brunette, but you're none the wiser because you don't have the consciousness to remember what the hell happened. Where was your consciousness before? You hop from body to body like Invasion of the Damn Body Snatchers, but you don't know what you don't know. And so it doesn't upset you or make you feel unhinged, or it doesn't make you feel crazy. But suddenly, because we have the consciousness of what's happening, we're now remembering when it happens, and we're also going, well, I used to have red hair and green eyes, and now I have blonde hair and gray eyes, and I don't know what happened. Other than I hopped several timelines, and I hope I hopped up. Because when you hop up, you hop better, and when you hop down, you hop worse, basically, And the way that I experience it physically is when I hop to the right, I'm hopping up in vibration, and when I hop to the left, it's hopping down. And I don't remember hopping down except for maybe 2 or 3 times, and it was like in a dream. It was like a dream where I had to go see about who I was in these timelines, and I was asked, do you want to collapse the timeline? And I said, yes, I do. And I collapsed the timeline for all of us, not just me. I found out later, months later. I told my daughter, and she said, why are you collapsing timelines for me? You don't have the right to do that. She got really mad at me. She's like, you're literally killing everybody in that timeline. I'm like, no, it's just for me. It's just my part in it. I think I just died, and that was it. And she said, well, you shouldn't do that. And she got really upset with me, and I'm like, well, I'm going to find out. And so I asked Prime Creator, and he's like, yeah, you're collapsing it for everybody. I'm like, well, shit. I guess technically I'm the angel of death, and I do, what I'm asked. And he said, what do you think? And he asked me my opinion, and I'm like, oh, this life shit, man. Everybody, all of you guys, every one of us, we were really horrible people on that timeline. It was very, very low vibration. And I collapsed it for the whole world. The whole world was very low vibration. Not one person was redemptive. And so I'm like, that's it. We're done. Let's just, let's all reclaim that energy. And I mentioned this a couple of years ago when it happened, and a lot of you did feel it. You're like, yeah, I had a rush of energy where I felt like I just feel more of myself. I feel like I'm more me now. That's because part of you came rushing back to you. Not with the weirdness and the baggage and the yucky crap, but with just your pure soul, spirit, God, love energy. So it helped everybody. Everyone was like, yeah, okay, that was okay. I feel better, And so I don't know. What else? So Megan, I think it was, told me that she found like a blouse, or had a picture of herself with the blouse, and her sister said, well, yeah, that watermelon colored blouse that you and Mom bought. You bought matching ones. You don't remember that? And she had no memory of it. It was a picture, I think she said. Now I'm trying to do this from memory. Sorry about that if I'm getting the story wrong, Megan. But also that in the photograph, she had a freaking tattoo on her arm. And right now, on this timeline, she's like, I don't have a tattoo on my arm. I don't remember ever having a tattoo on my arm. So how the hell is there evidence of a tattoo on my arm that did not exist? It doesn't exist. I never did that. I would never have gotten that. What the hell? So I hope that you guys are able to see all these crazy, surreal, supernatural happenings that are happening. They're not just happening to you, so you don't have to just feel crazy by yourself. They're happening. These things are happening all over to everybody. We are being grown from without, and we are growing from within. Our DNA is being bombarded every day with cosmic radiation and energy from the sun, from the solar winds, sometimes from coronal mass ejections from the sun, which carry a great amount of intensified, dense plasma. And I finally looked up what the hell plasma is. Like, how is plasma arriving and we're not like seeing it with our freaking eyes? This makes no sense. But I found out, okay, so we have several states of matter. If you were in grade school in the United States, this is what you were taught. There's only 3 states of matter. One is solid, one is liquid, one is gas. And that's where it ends. That's it. Can't have anything else. But actually, in reality world, according to scientists, and this might be new, there's a 4th state of matter, which is plasma, which is lighter and less denser than gas, and you can't see it. So there you go. You're welcome if you were like this whole time, like, what the hell is she talking about, plasma? But yeah, the solar wind itself is plasma. CMEs are, I think, denser plasma. And the cosmic radiation, how does that arrive? It's also plasma. We live in a plasma-filled universe, and a lot of scientists are thinking that there's electricity as well in the plasma. Now, if you guys are nerds like me, nerd alert, I've been watching Discovery, Star Trek Discovery on Netflix, which is excellent. It's an excellent, excellent show. And I love the idea that not only is there electricity and plasma in the universe, or universes that connect us, but also there's a mycelial network that connects everything. It goes throughout everything. Mycelial meaning mushroom. You know, like spores. And they're so minuscule, they're so tiny, you can't really see them. But they're there. I mean, if, I don't know if you guys remember the old show, Northern Exposure, about a doctor from New York who decides he can't take Manhattan anymore, so he moves over to Alaska. And he's like the only doctor for like 100 miles or something. And so he has to service this really small town as their only physician. And he has to be able to deal with all of their weird stuff that they do. You know, like injuries or pregnancies or whatever happens. He's got to deal with all of it. And anyway, there was one episode, it's like maybe 10 minutes out of the whole series, but something that always stuck with me is this guy is walking around, not the doctor, but one of the other guys is walking around with Maggie, the pilot, the only pilot for the town. I mean, it's such an amazing show. Anyway, they were just walking, and I think she was like looking at a mushroom, and he told her, guess what? You know, this mushroom is related to the mushroom I saw, and he's like saying like 20 or 30 miles away, and he said that all of the mushrooms are connected. They're all connected. Like, these are like fingers on a giant beast that is underneath our feet, and it's everywhere. And it's like the planet Earth is alive and everything is connected. And he was using this as his kind of a, look how deep I am, look how hot I am because I'm so deep kind of speech, right? And she was amazed. She was like, wow. And I remember thinking, that's really trippy. And that was before the internet, so I couldn't really look it up quite yet. Or I think when I first saw it, I think maybe it was like right after the internet, but it wasn't what it is now. I mean, Google didn't exist. We couldn't just look it up. The search engines were really few and far between. So I remember thinking, that's really intense. Someday I have to look into it. But I found out it's true. And when I did magic mushrooms years later, I found out from the magic mushrooms themselves, they told my husband, and they told me at the same exact time, that they were seeded on planet Earth from like a part of an asteroid that broke off. So magic mushrooms, the blue ones, are seeded from outer space. And I thought that was really, really interesting. Everything is connected anyway, energetically and, through love, through energy, through electricity, through plasma, through possibly the mycelial spore, mushroom spore network, and I just feel like everything somehow is alive and pulsating and connected. And so when I'm going through these crazy things and then I mention it, and then one of you writes me and I go, wow, cool, I'm not the only one. And then 2 or 3 other people within the next week or two will say the same thing, like, yeah, I'm having instant manifestations of things. Everything I say comes true like super soon. Megan also had a future vision recently where she was, I don't know if she says a vision or a dream. I can't remember which one now, but she suddenly saw her future bank account. And she was living in a city she never thought she would live. And her bank account was quite pleasing. She was like, whoa. And then the first in the dream was about, I think she said it was a dream, where she looked in, it was like her credit card statement was like 3 times more than she would ever go into debt. And she's like, really, at first really angry. How could I be this much in debt? Until she saw how much savings she had and how much checking she had. And she's like, oh, well, that's nothing then. It was easy. Wow. I'm not going to, disclose, or divulge the information of how much money it was, but it was quite a lot. She was really pleased with herself. Like, wow, I actually have a pretty damn cool future. Well, so some of you are having future visions or dreams where you're just like having a quick hop over to the future, checking it out, and then coming back and going, oh, good. I know now where I'm going. I know now where I'm going to live. I know now who I'm going to be with. I keep having future. When I start to lay down, I will hop into the future with my twin flame. And we're always having sweet moments together. And it's usually something very, very mild, like, just, we're sitting together holding hands and talking, either outside or inside or in a bathtub or, a hot tub or, it's always just those moments where it's just in this moment, things are totally perfect. Everything is right with the world in this moment type of energy. And then I'll snap out of it. I'll wake up or I'll jolt myself a little bit and I come out of the vision or the dream, whatever it is. Usually it's twilight sleep vision. And then I just know everything's going to be fine. And so I just kind of smile and that's it, baby. I know where I'm going and who I'm going there with, and everything's great. So not a problem. Truth be told, we're never separated. We're never separated. How can we be? A, we share a soul, and B, everything is connected through all these different means throughout, everything throughout the universe, or universes. And the fact that, of course, we are all God on the grander scale of it. I don't want to just sit here and talk about that, though. For 2 days I've been harping on the whole everything's an illusion, I don't know. Today I started thinking about some of those other things, the placating things that people say, to make themselves feel better, about whatever. Everything's an illusion. Nothing is real. It's like, well, one can make quite a bit of an argument. I mean, if a shark bit your fucking leg off, you're going to feel that. It's going to feel fucking real to you. Sorry, but are you going to just sit there and let yourself bleed out saying it's just an illusion? Or are you going to say, get me the hell to a hospital immediately and stop this bleeding, right? It's like, it's kind of obvious that you could sit around and philosophize, till the cows come home and you're blue in the face, from the blue mushrooms the cows created, but that's a whole nother thing because everything's connected. But there's also everything's an illusion, everything's connected, you can't change because change is always changing, and therefore change never changes. I mean, it's like Japanese koans where you could just, mentally masturbate your mind into oblivion. And it's just like, okay, but did those mental exercises actually get you anywhere? Not really. I mean, do I have a better car or a better house? Do I have a better spouse? Is my cat no longer attacking me because I thought these things? No. I didn't really do anything. I mean, it's more practical. I like the practical spirituality. We're here. We're stuck in this world for right now. And instead of calling it stuck, just say, we're here now. Be here now. Be here now. Obviously, the future and the past is an illusion because we can't go in either direction. But we can hop forward for a moment and then hop back for a moment and see what's going on. We also have memories. We have past life memories. And we also have actual memories from this, from this life. And everything is simultaneously happening right now. But we are in a world that was so carefully constructed and created so that we can experience things in a much different way. So the way I look at it is we might as well just enjoy where we're at right now in this amazing, carefully constructed, created world, just to study things a little further, a little deeper, and understand things in a different way. And that's all we're here for. If you want to get stuck, like I said yesterday, nailing your foot to the floor and running in a circle with a mental masturbation of everything's an illusion, nothing is real, If everything is an illusion, everything includes nothing. That means nothing is an illusion. So now we're going to go down the rabbit hole even further and mentally masturbate ourselves again into more oblivion. It's like nothing is real, everything is real, nothing is, everything's an illusion, but nothing is everything, and everything, it's just bullshit. To me, it's just still totally, it's just bullshit. So I choose to look at where I'm at, what's happening. I've seen shadow people in my room. I've had ETs or beings from other dimensions pop in the past couple weeks. I've had several timeline hops. I've had future hops. I've had memories from my past that I totally forgot about just pop into my head like, oh shit, I forgot that happened. That's weird. Restaurants I ate out with certain people or things that people said to me that just was like, what? That's shit, Wow, no wonder I had that complex for 20 years or 30 or 40 years. Like, wow. And a lot of you have related to those things as well. Like, shit, you're having memories too. Like, yeah, my dad used to tell me I was fat when I was a kid. Now I grow up and I'm worried about my weight all the time. Well, fuck, man. And if you're an adult with children, just tell them they're perfect. Tell them they're great. Even if they're not, Tell them they're completely okay the way they are. Even if they're pains in the ass, If they're jerks, Just think that they're probably going through something and they're not going to always be jerks. They're going to be sweet. Tell them how wonderful they are. Focus on the positive with them, because one day they're going to be an adult and they're going to be screaming in your face saying, remember that time you told me I was an asshole? Well, guess what? No, I'm worried I'm an asshole all the time, and now I'm a people pleaser, and I'm bending over backwards helping everybody, and I'm just fucking up my whole life because I'm worried that I'm an asshole and I'm overcompensating. For example. Not that that's ever happened, in my life. It's just a random example that came to my head, but it helps somebody, I'm sure of it. I woke up this morning and I came into the kitchen and I brushed my teeth and I was going into the other room and I thought maybe I'm going to go back to bed. And my cat was really angry at me. She corralled me like a sheepdog does sheep. She's pushing on my legs with her whole body and like slamming into my legs. Did not want me to go to bed. Really mad at me. And I tried to get back to bed. I'm like, this is pissing me off. Like, what's wrong with you? What are you doing? And I went back into the kitchen. She had water. She had food. Everything's fine. Her litter box is clean. And like, everything is fine. It was a little warm, not hot, but the fan was on. I'm like, I don't know what you want. I'm going to just come in here to change clothes. And then she hopped up on the bed and she bit the fuck out of my arm. She wouldn't let me get in bed. She just bit me so freaking hard. But she wouldn't let me pet her, wouldn't let me touch her. I don't know what the hell her problem was, but I was really mad at her. I'm like, well, screw you. I'm going to lay down anyway. And I slept for another 2 or 3 hours. I really should not have gone back to bed. And she was right. But I don't know what got into her. It was so weird. And I think that I hopped a timeline. Now, I still have the bruise on my arm. But when I woke up a couple hours later, my cat was the sweetest person ever. She was just so loving and so kind. And I'm like, I don't know. I think I was on a timeline where I had a panther. Now I've got a cat again. I don't know. Things have been really, really weird. I don't know. 2 or 3 things happened. I told you guys about the bubble universe yesterday that happened over the weekend when I got really high. I made my own edible. I made my oil into an edible and then I cooked with it. And I was really awesome. It was awesome because I went into this meditative state for hours and hours and hours, and it really helped on every level. I had no pain in my body and my mind was clear. There was no anxiety. Excuse me. And any anxiety that came up, it was just easy to get rid of. And I felt my twin flame's anxiety, and I helped him with his anxiety, and I got rid of his, and he helped me get rid of mine. And then all of a sudden we created this bubble universe where we opened up a bubble where there was no time or space, and then we kissed. And then our heads pulled out of the bubble, and then the bubble popped, and it was over. It was just gone. It didn't pop, it like shrank down to nothing, and then it was gone. And I'm like, that was new. That was new. I hope he experienced it so he can talk to me about it later, like from his perspective, or maybe he forgets it because it's insane. It's an insane thing that happened. Like how come my whole body can't go in there? Why can't we just, see each other naked already? Just or whatever. Just want to hug him and hold his hand. And why is it just about like one kiss and that's it? Okay. You're angels, so innocence only, I guess. There's not going to be anything more. Not that making love is not innocent, because it is. But it was a very weird thing. And I've had just a lot of sentences, or like I was telling you this the other day, like or just moments that were like 5 seconds or 10 seconds that were moments in my life, almost like a life review from my childhood on up to now. And it's almost like the fine-toothed comb life review. Instead of the big event reviews that I think that we've been doing in the past several years, suddenly it's the fine-tooth comb reviews. That's what I'm going to call it. Just the nuanced shit that happened. Someone said something nice to you, but then they gave you a look where their eyes went kind of funny. And you feel like what they said was very kind and sweet, but their eyes told you a different story, and the energy shifted in the room, and maybe their eyebrows looked a different way. Like they furrowed their brows and you realize that they were lying to you, or you realize that they were, not believing what they said and they didn't care about you the way they said, or something was different or off. And in your mind protected itself by completely forgetting this shit ever happened. And now I just looked at 4444. So the nuanced shit has come up to my mind a lot lately. Just stuff like that. Like I had one moment, something that might have taken 30 seconds out of my whole life. And I'm going back and I'm like able in my mind to pause it and see what that person did immediately after they said that wonderful thing. And I'm like, aha! There it is. That was the beginning of the end of that relationship. Or there was the truth that was told in their eyes, in the way that the energy shifted in the room. Like, almost like I'm able to go back and experience the energy as well as the moment, because I wasn't as well versed in feeling energy at the time. And I wasn't as well versed in understanding the subtleties of the nuanced looks or glances or the inflection in the words or whatever it was. Something shifted, something changed. Now I have a new perspective on like all of these different incidences. So, I could be making a cup of coffee for myself or cooking for myself or petting the cat or doing the dishes or whatever the hell. And all of a sudden these things just pop into my mind. And I remember these moments with different people, from my stepmother to boyfriends to, whatever, moments in the backyard. I remember walking and having to step around a tree root sticking up. And then in that moment, a breeze hit me and then I looked over away from the breeze and then I saw something, like these weird little nuanced moments that at the time are nothing, but then they're popping into your head and they become everything. For that moment, like, oh, right? People that maybe you said you forgave and then you forgave, the 5 or 6 shitty things they did. Well, but this week you've remembered 23 other things that they did that were shitty. Well, fuck howdy. Now I've got to forgive 23 new things. I thought I gave them a blanket forgive, but apparently not. Stuff like that. I don't know if that's, again, this is just, all made up. Although with one of my exes, I keep, 2 of my exes, things that they said or did, things that I should have seen was a red flag and I didn't, and then I have to forgive myself and now I've got to forgive them, and all this stuff. So a couple things have been going on like that for me, and I hope for you as well, because as we get more into the ascension, we're just dropping all the baggage of this stuff. Forgive yourself, forgive others, love everybody. They're all you in one way or another anyway. Although, they're also them, and you're not creating this world by yourself. Everyone around you creates their version of the world, and then we all decide to live together, and then we see how worlds collide. If you created the world, you would go to the bus stop, and the bus stop would be there in 2 seconds. If you created the world, you'd go out to your garage, and there'd be a hot new car that drove itself to the airport while you get high in the back. So that would be me. But yeah. You get what I mean. Like, I'm sorry, you can't tell me that I'm the only one creating the world, because if I'm creating the world, why don't I live in a mansion and drive a fucking Ferrari all the time? And why does the Ferrari not drive itself while I could get high in the back seat? Like, there's, why am I not in my spaceship? Just, tooling around the solar system while getting high. That would be maybe more intense, more fun, than just doing it here in my living room and trying to avoid looking at the ugly ass floor. It just feels like, did I really create all of this world? from the perspective in which you're God, from a higher, loftier perspective, yes. But, we're all, there's billions of us little gods, little pieces of God running around creating our little piece of it. And that's why things aren't 100% the way you want it or I want it. Again, that's just so much mental masturbation. I don't want to get into it too much there. I do want to tell you about, some of the ascension symptoms things that I've come across in the past 2 days. And I had it queued up, and of course it's not queued up anymore because, I didn't create this world, obviously, completely by myself in a damn vacuum. If it had been queued up, it would have continuously been queued up, right? All right, here we go. Naga Healing Guidance, which is naga.healing.guidance, which I've talked about before on Instagram. She always has a lot of interesting things to say about what we're doing, like energetically, what's going on with the energy. She said, Spirit is encouraging silence to integrate energies. It's encouraging forgiveness. See, I was just saying that. And above all, massively disintegrating polarized thinking, black or white, either or, good or bad, blah, blah, blah. I said blah, blah, blah. She didn't say that. She also said, I feel we have just reached a plateau. Feels more like a blank brain than a fresh breath of air. Yeah, it does. Have you had those moments where you're just like, huh? like, I don't know what I was doing, where I was going, what was I thinking? I have had a few moments like that recently. She says, but it seems that the energy is tending towards the latter. I'm not sure how long it will last. Many seem to be reviewing family dynamics or going through breakthroughs within them in different ways, and some are grieving loved ones. Some are honoring or connecting even with their ancestors. See, yeah, all of that, all the above. I've been going through moments of grief, not whole days or weeks of it, but I've had like 30 people die in 10 years in my life, including some really big ones. My uncles that died, my mom, my birth mom, my dad died when, 17 years ago. And that one was rough too, but all the other ones happened within the last 10 years. Like since my husband died, that seems to have been the big one. Like he died and it was like a house of fucking cards for me, and everybody just one after another. And I lost physical things and like material items. I lost so much shit in like what seems to me like such a short period of time that I have not even begun grieving for some of the people. Like it's just been so fucking overwhelming. And then trying to live the day to day and trying to deal with all the other stuff. I lived in a violent neighborhood for a while where I had a lease. I couldn't leave for a while, and then moved to a nicer area, but then other shit happened. Like I got injured, and then just had to deal with visas and had to deal with red tape. And I don't know, suddenly in the past couple months, I don't know if it's happened this way for you guys, if it's a part of the ascension or not, but suddenly it seems like time has freed up quite a bit so that I can grieve and I can forgive and I can think about these things that I need to. But I do feel like it's happening for everybody, not just me. So anyway, she also says, the collective seems to be reviewing a 5 or 6 year period. And for most is 2011 or 2012 through 2016. I don't know. That seems to me like maybe it's her stuff specifically, because I've been reviewing shit from the 1990s, in the early 2000s. That time, not so much. My husband died in 2010, so I'm reviewing stuff before that. So I think that might be arbitrary. I don't know if everyone's reviewing those specific years, but I do feel like we're doing like a conscious life review. Be open to it so you can let go of shit easier and faster. It'll be easier when you die because you have to go through your whole life review when you go, eventually leave this physical body, which is what we call dying or death, which is not ever really true because we're never going to die. So anyway, she says it feels like a journey within a journey and drastically changes the course of events for millions of people. And that's what she said happened my life drastically changed in 2013. That is fact. A lot of shit did happen during those years that changed for my children. That was like a big turning point. Some things for the better, some things for the worser. In fact, many things happened during those years. So that is probably true. Father wounds are being worked through right now, which mainly seem to be coming as mixed feelings of supportive or unsupportive, admiring or shaming, moments coming from the main father or a masculine energy, dominant person in your life. A symbol for today, she says, is swans. Her symbols never work out for me. I haven't had any kind of swans energy my way. But they mainly symbolize union and alchemical marriage, which I will accept that for sure. I just wish I had seen a swan. And she says external or internal, metaphorical or literal, of the masculine and feminine energies. And then she also goes on to say, increased thirst, sleepiness, burning sensation on stomach. I don't know if she means on or in. I haven't had either. It's very odd. She says fatigue, heart flutters, feeling detached, aloof or she says apathic. I think she means apathetic. Blank mind or overthinking, either way. Nausea, dizziness, burning sensation, spine, neck, chest, tingling in the throat, and superficial breathing. And yeah, I have had that. I've had asthma, like really intense asthma. I wanted to just share with you guys Star Goddess Healing. There's an underline between the words. Star Goddess Healing on Instagram. It has a really cool thing called Spirit Animal Meanings, and she put that out one day ago. And it's 5 panels, and on each panel there are 10 animals. So if you are seeing animals a lot, chances are, and it even says for swan, keep the faith, accept, surrender, all will be in divine timing. That's what her version of swan is, which happens to be next to the lizard, which I kept seeing lizards. Remember that? I told you the other day. Lizard means listen to your intuition, be mindful of who is in your circle. So I wanted to bring that up because yes, bees are always in my circle. I'm always having bees. So it says bees mean productive time, fertility, and happy times. So I think that means what's coming. So if you have any animals that you've been worried about, wondering about, things that are in your vicinity or whatever, go check that one out. I mean, seriously, Star Goddess Healing. She's awesome anyway. Now, the other one that I wanted to share with you is from the Ace of Moon as far as the current ascension symptoms. And I'm not going to read this whole one that she wrote 23 hours ago, but I'm going to just read to you the physical symptoms. She's talking about feelings and coping, and we're no longer distracting ourselves. We're actually getting through the feelings. Boy, I'm having an asthma attack again, so I'm going to have to do something about that in a second. So she's saying that people are having shifts happening through heart palpitations, heavy breathing, constant tearing. I think she means for your eyes, tearing up, which I have had that a little bit. Having slight panic attacks. Focusing on pacing your breathing will help. Heartburn, physical purging, like diarrhea or even throwing up, farting, shoulder, neck, and back ache, stomach churning, arms and legs aching, spleen or lower left rib clearings. She always says that. I don't know why she's like lower left, lower right. I don't know if you're feeling it specifically on one side or the other. I think it could be either one. Chest pains, clearings, headaches, migraines, forehead pressure, short period of ascension flu, where you feel like you have the flu, but you're not sick at all, especially in your throat, or nose irritation. And that also includes sensitivity that causes coughing and sneezing, which I'm like coughing right now a little bit. Lump in the right of the throat, which I'm feeling right now. Jaw ache, major electronic malfunctions, pushing energy through your back and your spine. And she says, of course, drink and rest is maybe what's needed. So there you go. And once again, this is happening all week, and I don't know why. My timing is off. I think because I feel off. Everything, you guys, everything is off. We've been timeline hopping so much. And all these supernatural happenings are just so intense. I stopped smoking weed last week. Over the weekend, I had edibles, and that's it. And now, suddenly, my asthma is the worst, which is weird, because normally it's if I'm smoking like this bad. But it's because I'm having rushes of hormones that I haven't had in 4 years come through my body. Like I'm having extra estrogen suddenly in my system, which is what my asthma used to be extremely bad because of estrogen. And that's what's going on right now. Muscle testing says yes, that's what's going on. It feels awesome and wonderful, but at the same time, I can't freaking breathe because it causes swelling in my lungs. So very, very strange. All right, so what's up, girl? My familiar has woken up, and I wanted to talk to you guys about her. Last night, she jumped into bed, laid down, plopped herself down on the pillow, and pushed herself over to put her head on top of my face, put all four, paws in my hand, and wrapped her little tail around me. And I started to move ever so slightly, because I don't want to be smothered under my cat. That insulted her to no end, and she took off, and she hasn't cuddled with me since. And it's really sad because I miss the cat. But I did play with her quite a bit today, and that did make her very happy. And I noticed she has this aroma on her stomach, so if you guys want to send love and light and prayers, I don't think she ripped her stitches on the inside. I think they're irritated a little bit, and it created a little pooch where there's a little bit of a fluid buildup. But I'm taking her to the doctor this week anyway, just as a follow-up, to see if she did do this and if she does need antibiotics. But she hadn't let me touch her for 2 days on her stomach to see if she was okay. And today, finally, she let me for just a split second, and she's fine. Yes, last night, I was on a timeline where she had blood all over, like near her stitches. And she was very angry when I tried to touch it. And I hopped a timeline. I woke up this morning like, oh, all right. She looks fine. It's great. Or this afternoon, after she attacked me. So at least she's nicer on this timeline. Thank God. But I got a little group of veterinarians from beyond the grave. They are her little spiritual healing team. You could do this for your animals as well as yourself. You can have a spiritual healing team to help you with whatever. And I asked her spiritual healing team, but I said it out loud, her spiritual healing team with her name. She got very angry and she left the room. She was very insulted because cats heal themselves. They do their own Reiki usually. And I'm like, no, I need to make sure she's going to be okay. And so now they said you have to have a fake, like another word for us. And they told us the word. And so I'm not going to say it out loud because she can hear me right now. But I let her outside. Well, I accidentally let her outside. I opened the door and put something outside. And she got out. And she just walked around the deck for a few minutes and then came back in and everything was fine. And she was pretty mad at me for not letting her just be outside. You know, she's not going to do anything, but I'm afraid she's going to jump or climb more, and I don't want her to hurt her stitches. And it does take about 2 to 3 weeks for everything to be 100% healed. And I need to go next week to Quito because I need to get my visa stuff situated and straightened out so that I could stay in Ecuador. And so anyway, I'm little nervous to leave her alone, and so I'm trying to figure it out. So if you guys can just send me, I don't know, the energy of mental clarity to figure out exactly what to do. I think I know what I'm going to do, but I'm trying to figure out all of the points of it, and also just send her extra healing and love and energy to the cat so that she will be, to knowledge Raven spell, so she will be good to go by the time I have to leave her alone for a day or two. I really don't want to take her in a bus for like 11 hours. I don't think that's fair to her. But also it's not fair to humans to leave her near them, knowing how violent and dangerous she can be. So I need to just leave her extra food, extra water, and maybe even an extra litter box so that she's going to be okay on her own, a little sad, and I'll leave the music on for her, which she will enjoy until she ruins my computer by stepping on all of the keys or shutting it entirely if she doesn't want to hear the music anymore, because she does do that and knows how. Anyway, I didn't get a chance in the introduction, which ran long, obviously, to tell you guys about the energy coming down through the scientific websites that prove that what we're feeling and experiencing are actually happening through physical means. So spaceweather.com is one place where I turn to get news and information about the Sun-Earth environment. And so this is what's going on. The current solar wind speed has picked up quite a bit, actually. It's 466.4 kilometers per second. Yesterday, it was 100 kilometers per second less. So I thought that was very interesting. Now, a CME might be hitting us tomorrow. This left the sun 3 days ago. And so it's traveling mostly away from our planet, so they're not really sure. It might just flank us. They're still not sure. There's a really weird and cool picture from Catalan Tarpadel. Tarpadel? I don't know. Or Tarpadel. I am saying this name wrong. My apologies. Anyway, she's in Canada, and she caught the aurora borealis hovering above a noctilucent cloud. So, and that's over a grove of trees. So it's a very eerie picture. If you want to go check it out, it's spaceweather.com. Anyway, Sunspot AR2835 has a Delta class magnetic field, and that is facing us right now. And it harbors energy for strong M-class solar flares. Gonna keep that in mind. It looks like it's gonna be there for another week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. And there's some pretty big sunspots facing us right now, and that could be not good for our electronics, and also very good for us spiritually speaking. It is the cosmic radiation that we found out in the book on Monday. that helps us to spiritually grow if we choose to use that energy. So this is a good thing that I'm telling you guys about the energy, because we can use this energy, take it in our body, accept it in our DNA, and go, yes, I'm moving up. And this is why we're forgiving and doing all of these shadow work things on a day-to-day basis now. We're still in solar cycle 25, which just started or is in the middle of starting. The space age average, the percentage of the space age average that we're at right now as far as the neutron counts coming out of Oulu, Finland is 9.2%. It's gone up since yesterday by 0.1%. The current oval of the Aurora Borealis, if it should hit us tomorrow, by the way, is in Canada, the upper half of Canada, as well as, of course, the Arctic Circle, as it always is. The coronal holes facing us, well, there aren't any right now, so don't worry about solar wind coming at us in a big way, even though we are being affected a little bit by just solar wind in general. It's not directed at us directly. That sounds weird, but you know what I mean. Noctilucent cloud season is currently underway. And they're pretty strong. Lots of noctilucent clouds. They're electric blue clouds that appear. They have been intense, and they're as far south as 37 degrees north latitude. And today there were 8 fireballs that were sporadic, captured by NASA's all-sky cameras and the all-sky fireball network. And let's see. As far as heartmath.org is concerned, they are not talking at all about the Schumann resonance because the data is unavailable at the moment, but according to disclosurenews.it, it is power 10, and that's it. It was 57 yesterday, but today's 10, almost back down to normal. That's the Schumann resonance news for today. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, we will be channeling the Arcturian Council of 9 right after this. All right, guys, so I swear that every single thing I told you guys about the current ascension symptoms literally just happened to me over the past couple hours. I filmed or recorded the first part of the show, and as you could tell, I was having a hard time breathing with asthma, and immediately after I ended the introduction, I started sneezing my head off. I started having some intestinal issues and a little bit of pain, but mostly asthma, allergies. I started feeling really feverish and sick, even though I don't have a fever and I'm not actually sick. It's the Ascension flu. And like even right now, my stomach is hurting. And I made a bunch of, I made like burritos with a bunch of veggies and some beef. And I'm starting to feel a little bit better. Asthma is still pretty bad. I mean, seriously, it's like I ate a bunch of wheat. This is what happens when I eat wheat. And I haven't had only just a couple tortillas. So, but it's like I've had like 6 pieces of bread. This is usually, if I eat bread, this is what goes on. Anyway, all of that, and then plus all of my electronic devices started acting up. And I mean, just literally everything I said. And I almost felt like maybe I should stop saying things so that they don't instantly manifest. But one thing I did mention is that my cat had not been very cuddly it was very strange for several, like half a day or, several hours. It was just early in the morning. She'd been mean. It was ridiculous. Like I hopped a timeline to a cat that didn't care about me. And as soon as I stopped the introduction and stopped sneezing my head off, I took a 4-hour allergy pill. Anyway, she got into my arms and we've been holding each other, and I told her I'm going to go record the show in the other room now. And a few minutes later I came in here, and here she is asleep on the bed waiting for me to record the show, which is so adorable. Anyway, so I don't know, it's like everything is somehow resolving itself. I don't know, I feel very strange. I did hop a timeline earlier today in a new way, in a way I have never ever hopped a timeline, so I'm going to talk to you guys about that tomorrow, I think. So I've got to make more sense of it and ask Prime Creator some questions, because I don't understand exactly what this timeline was that I hopped. And I didn't mention it earlier, but I was thinking about it for the past 2 hours. Anyway, let's get on with the channeling. I am already connected to the Arcturian Council of 9. They are interdimensional beings. You could say that they're extraterrestrials because they're not from Earth. But they're also not from the third dimension. They're from a much higher dimension. They're saying 9th dimension, but a lot of their kind exist in the 11th and higher dimensions as well. I love the Arcturians. They're very sweet beings. They are not incarnate in physical bodies, so they don't have the need to eat or drink water, or they're saying, or replicate ourselves. They don't reproduce, but they just are and always have been from their perspective. And they give us a lot of love. They do a lot of energetic healing, I believe, of our world. They're sending us a lot of the energy that is helping us ascend. They're part of the Galactic Federation, including the Galactic Federation of Light, which is just the small division that is concerned with our specific part of the universe, known as the Milky Way galaxy, which is the of light part, because the Milky Way is quite bright. And speaking of bright, I'm sitting in the dark in my room, getting ready to channel, and my tablet is a little bit too bright, so I'm gonna pause this and turn down the light. It's weird because it normally does not affect me, and suddenly I am very affected by lights and sounds. I'm feeling quite cold suddenly, even though it's outside of the house at 68 degrees. I've been cooking in here, so it's warmer. And I have a heavy blanket on me right now, and I'm feeling very cold and shaky. As you could tell, I'm sure, like from the beginning until now, you guys could tell a difference in my voice, although I'm being quieter than normal because the baby Knowledge Ravenspell is sleeping right here next to me, and I don't want to wake her. She's had a very tough time trying to get over or through the recovery after major surgery. You know, having your womb removed is major surgery. I guess it's a cat hysterectomy. procedure when they spay the cat. But anyway, no wonder she bit me this morning. My God, I think I'd be mad at me too. If someone did this to me, I'd probably bite them too. But anyway, I plan on cuddling her quite a bit tonight if I can. Giving her a lot of love. So, I'm a channeler. I've been publicly channeling for a couple years now. For those of you who've been with me for a long time, you already know this. For those of you who are stumbling across the podcast only now, I'm basically an intuitive telepath. I am an empath also. I'm other things, but as far as this is concerned, this is how I direct or indirectly channel. I am not a direct channel. A direct channel is somebody who pretty much leaves their body and allows an entity or being or group of beings to take over their body, and then they come back and they don't know what the hell happened. I do go into a trance. A lot of times I don't remember what's said. A lot of you will write to me like a few days later and talk to me about something that was said during the channeling, and I don't remember. You have to like remind me of what was said. I'm in the present moment most of the time now, and I don't really worry so much about the future anymore. And I don't, although I think about what I want, but I don't I'm not worried about getting it or not getting it anymore like I used to be. And in the past, I don't think about the past. So once I channel, once I record it, once I send it off into the world, I pretty much set it and forget it. I don't remember what was said really. Unless it's something that strikes me in the moment. And if it's something I need to work on or think on or contemplate, then I will remember. So that's it. That's pretty much what I do, who I am. I channel via telepathy. I mind talk, basically. So I'm going to take a couple deep breaths after I take my inhaler again, because you could tell my lungs are getting tight again and my nose is getting kind of stuffy again. So I'm going to take a quick break, pause this. Yawn, regroup, and come back. I don't know, guys. I feel like we were hit by a whole bunch of plasma in the past couple hours. Feels like a couple years worth in the past hour or so. Anyway, you may begin transmission now. Arcturian Council of 9. Welcome. They say thank you for your welcome. It is great to be here. We are the Arcturian Council of 9. Greetings. We are aware of your existence more than you are aware of your own existence in many regards and many respects. We know about the energies that you suffer because you live in such dense bodies. We see the friction that the energy from the cosmos causes you. A lot of times it creates in the other dimensions sparks. And now they're showing me an image of I can only describe it as a machine, like a grinder's wheel. If someone is holding up a metal piece up to a grinder's wheel, and the fire, I guess it's the hot, heated, molten metal is flying off, and it looks like fire or sparks of fire. That's an image they just gave me, guys. I do telepathy through all the senses, by the way. So I will see, hear, taste, touch, smell, whatever they're sending me, in addition to the words they're sending me. So sometimes I'll just get an image of something that they know about, they've seen, or they pluck it from my own brain. So anyway, let's get back to what they're saying. Okay, Arcturian Council. Oh, so they're saying that sparks off of us. So when we get the plasma and it's hitting and our bodies are absorbing it because we're willing and ready and able, to absorb the new energies coming in. But if it's rubbing us the wrong way, that's when we get, that's when we're getting the ascension symptoms. So that's what they're pretty much showing me. That it's like that that lathe or that machine that they're showing me. It's like the molten metal sparks flying off when a I don't know, carpenter, blacksmith, I don't know. I'm getting these words, but they're not correct. Anyway, just basically it's a bunch of sparks sparking off of us repeatedly, and sometimes it looks to them like molten lead. They're saying much like when a volcano is spewing forth its lava and then it crashes against a super cooled rock when it meets the superheated lava, and the lava itself splashes up, and they're saying that it does like a little bit of a dance before coming down and cooling and again becoming part of the whole. That is, so let me have them tell you in their words, that is how we see you. It is as if the energy from the cosmos or the sun or from the Galactic Federation of Light, because you're getting this bombardment of positive, radiant, beautiful energy from many different sources, and it affects you in many different ways. And from our perspective, we see that it is almost like the molten lava flowing, and creating a river for itself, but sometimes it will come up against an already super cooled piece of rock, and instead of melting it instantly, it will cause the lava to go up and splash about in so many little beads of lava before finally falling down and coming against the cold rock, and then it becomes one with it. And we like this metaphor not only because it's beautiful and very clear for you to understand, but also this is how it is with you. This energy from the cosmos or the sun or from the Galactic Federation will come towards you, and sometimes it will splash up all around you and it doesn't join with you immediately. And that's because you have friction or tension and you don't know how to receive it correctly. So as the energy will go away from you for a moment, it will still be trapped in your aura or in your emotional body or mental body, etc. And then it will come back to you and it will join with you eventually when you finally accept it. And it becomes one with you, and this energy becomes you, and you become it. And in this dance, this cosmic divine dance of energies, you will feel the conflict for a very short period of time. And then eventually that energy becomes a part of you, and you become maybe less dense physically, but more aware emotionally or mentally, and more enlightened spiritually. We see this happen time and time again, and we can tell when something is making a greater impact. Saying like plasma wise, or in ways that are, so they're saying like when they see the plasma come, or sometimes it's higher. It's not necessarily plasma, but higher vibrational energy, which is higher vibrational energy than plasma, which is usually in the form of pure love, or positive energy, positive thoughts from ascended masters, or sometimes people who are from ET races or extra dimensionals who have already done their spiritual due diligence, and they already know what it's like. Oh, excuse me. Whew. They're saying they already know what these are beings that already know what it's like because they've already gone through the ascension themselves. So they will send us the higher vibrational energies, knowing full well how we're going to react, but knowing in the end we're going to integrate the higher vibrations. And sometimes if it is plasma, we absorb the higher vibrations of that, and it does fix and change our DNA. But when we are absorbing the energy from the Galactic Federation of Light members, for example, it's a lot less friction, it's a lot less tension than the actual natural raw world plasma that comes, because it's already in a form that we can absorb quickly. But we will feel the ascension symptoms if it's still too much energy all at once for us. They will never give us anything that we cannot handle, they're saying, but at the same time, it's sometimes just quite a lot for us. And so, all right, so what else then? And I'm seeing dog paws for some reason. They're thanking me for something, and they're showing me dog paws. And I think it's a metaphor for something. Muscle testing says yes, it is. It's a metaphor. All right, a metaphor of... They're saying the dog days, or the dog afternoons, or the dog days of summer. Oh, they're just saying we really love dogs. We started focusing our attention recently on dogs, and they're showing me that they saw a golden retriever that just captured their hearts, because this dog, they were not able to see it before. When they looked into humanity, we vibrate at a very high rate, and they assumed that we were the only really important species, at least as far as they're concerned. We're the only ones that they need to work on species-wise. And they know that if they work on the highest order of species from any given planet, that will raise the vibration, and eventually, in turn, raise the vibration for the whole of the planet. And they're saying recently there was a golden retriever that received attention, and they're showing me this. It's probably like on some kind of social media outlet, and they're saying this creature showed so much intelligence and so much love and so much compassion and so much understanding for the world it finds itself in, almost as if it has a self-awareness, almost from the outside perspective. And what do they mean? What do you mean by that? What we mean to say is it almost understood that it's a spirit having a dog experience right now and very much enjoying the current life, even though full well knowing it's an illusion or not 100% all there is. Okay, so they're saying what we're trying to say is they could see from their perspective this dog in particular that they were noticing is very extraordinary because it's spiritually advanced and spiritually gifted for its species, and it's ahead of the pack. Now they're laughing themselves silly, saying, no pun intended, ahead of the pack. As far as other dogs are concerned, this was like a breakout dog, one who is highly intelligent. And they're saying that usually species other than humans don't tend to surprise them very often. And they're saying, but we've also been made aware of dogs who have stopped their owners from killing a fish or protecting ducklings from ill-intentioned humans or cars or any number of things that have demonstrated as of late, recently, that dogs are beyond what humans have thought of them. And what we see from our perspective is that the DNA affecting changes that you're experiencing also too are all the animals of your world experiencing. And we saw this in this one particular dog, and again they're showing me the golden retriever, but also we are now beginning to see this in other dogs, and humans are pointing out the intelligence and the compassion and the love that the canine counterparts are having all around them. And we believe that the greater step will be eventually the feline counterparts and other animals will start to display what you would deem to be human qualities, even though these are godly compassion qualities that exist in all creatures. There is a way that they're saying that there's a way that we're going to be blown away soon when it starts to be all creatures planet-wide everywhere as a result of all of our collective DNAs are being affected positively by this ascension experience and this ascension energy. And this is why many of your animals are lashing out. This is why so many of your animals are seemingly depressed or sad. This is why sometimes they might feel hotter to the touch or colder to the touch. This is why many of your animals are acting quite energetic or quite lethargic. They too are going through the ascension symptoms. And how you tell in an animal ascension symptom from a normal symptom in which they're sick is that all of the elements of being sick would be present if they were indeed sick, and they would not get better until many days had passed. But since it's ascension flu, it tends to only be a part of your animal's life for a very short period of time, maybe 45 minutes to an hour, in the extreme cases 2 to 3 hours, but the ascension symptoms will cycle out. They will go through one symptom to the next, to the next, to the next, and then in 2 to 3 hours there's no more symptoms and everything seems to be fine, and your pet will start playing again or cuddling again or just eating food again or whatever activity they normally would enjoy. And so hi baby girl, I just wanted to check the cat. I felt like she was shaking and shivering. I have noticed something in the cat, guys, when in Arcturian Council, I want to ask you guys about this. I have noticed that when my cat normally purrs, it's coming from her head or maybe her throat energy, like the top part of her spine is where I feel the energy from. And that's usually, I think, how cats purr. More recently, I've noticed that she's purring from her lower spine. If you guys have cats and you can attest that this is indeed a change, I would like for you guys to DM me and let me know if your cat suddenly started purring from the base of their spine versus from their throat. I always thought it was a throat-related thing, and now I feel like my cat is shaking, like her spine is shaking inside of her body, the same way that I feel that my bones are rattling inside of me in the past couple weeks during these intense, powerful ascension energies and eclipse energies and astronomy energies, but it's all affecting us. So I've been feeling like my bones are rattling inside me, and I feel like when I hold my cat, sometimes it's almost like she's rattling inside of herself, and it's her bones are like glowing or something. Not literally, not physically that I can see, but almost like they're growing, but in positive energy, like higher vibrational energy. And then they I don't know, I just feel like we're all expanding, and I could see it in my cat as well. That's all. So Arcturian Council, what do you have to say about that? Yes, a great deal of pet owners are recognizing the ascension symptoms in their animals, and also they're reporting some very strange symptoms where maybe their animal might feel hot to the touch in one place, cold to the touch in another place, and then when they go to touch their animal again, 10 minutes later, the animal seems perfectly normal. And they're showing me that you might notice weird glitches in your furry critters, as far as they might they're saying that they might require you. So, okay, yeah, I guess they might require you to hold them extra, baby them a little bit more, and you might notice that your cat or dog might feel hot to the touch in one place, cold to the touch in another place. That is not normal for them, and then in a matter of seconds, everything gets resolved. And they're saying in dogs especially, if something strange starts to happen to your dog that doesn't seem quite normal, where you see an aura glowing about them, or something making them hot or cold even though they're not sick, or whatever it is, sometimes it's normal things too, so it's not going to be reportable, but sometimes there are parts of what's happening with your animals that makes you a little nervous. But these symptoms will resolve themselves quickly within 10 to 20 minutes. Usually they will subside. So yeah. So they're saying basically just don't be worried about your animals. If you feel this happening, you can support them by telling them it's okay, and by loving them and stroking their